Planet Houston, we have a big problem.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Like Indiana Jones, we're always searching for the coveted dumbest thing on the internet. While the internet is endless and that goal is seemingly insurmountable, we have found the ark of bullshit. And its contents are enough to make your head explode from stupidity. We live in Bizarro world. Up is down, left is right, and we're supposed to ignore basic science and reasoning because it might be hurtful to someone. There's no doubt you've had things that make you say, ooh, that's not right, and well, here's another one. When you think of Star Wars, what do you think of? Jedi, starships, fat phobia, and body positivity? One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you spot the pretender? Stevie Wonder can. Hollywood has an aversion to fat characters. On screen, they're typically punchlines, non-existent, or worse yet, actors in fat suits. In Star Wars, plus-sized humans have been largely absent, though fat aliens have appeared in the franchise for decades, inevitably evoking insults and cruel jokes about the fat community. But are things finally beginning to change in a galaxy far, far away? In Guns for Hire, the 6th episode of the latest season of The Mandalorian and Bo-Katan travel to Placer 15, a planet governed by the Duchess and her husband, Captain Bombardier. While guest stars and cameos are a dime a dozen in this franchise, what's notable about the Duchess and Bombardier is that they're played by plus-size actors Lizzo and Jack Black. And later in the episode, Din Djarin and Kryze. Later in the episode, they interact with a lab tech portrayed by Jen Korber, another plus-sized actor. This is a rare instance of fat characters played by fat actors being represented by people and not offensive tropes in Star Wars. Before this, whenever a fat character showed up in the franchise, they were usually a grotesque and slovenly alien. Jabba the Hutt, whose name has become a taunt for real fat people in the real world, appears in the original film trilogy for the sole purpose of repulsion. Even Jabba apparently knows how he's viewed, as Karen Traviss writes in the novelization of the Clone Wars film. Jabba is a giant, slimy slug, but he's also a vile gangster who tries to kill Han Solo, enslave Princess Leia, and eats live creatures and slobbers all over himself. He is disgusting, and we rightfully cheer when Leia strangles him to death. The problem isn't the fact that Jabba exists, but that he's the trilogy's representation of an unconventionally shaped character and is such a horrifying villain. But the fat shaming didn't stop with Jabba the Hutt. In subsequent Star Wars properties on both big and small screens, fat aliens are treated with similar disdain. I wonder if it has anything to do with good guys are treated with respect and bad guys are treated with disdain. Well, let's keep on reading. Across the animated and live-action fare, Star Wars portrays fat characters as evil gluttons. Unkar Plutt was a ruthless junk boss on planet Jakku, hoarding supplies and food rations while scavenging, while scavengers like Rey scourge around for their next meal. Plutt is literally referred to as the blobfish in the franchise, an obvious dig at his size and features. To top it all, Plutt is played by the decidedly non-fat actor Simon Pegg in a fat suit. Clearly you don't understand how films are made, but your foot's not in your mouth quite yet. In Star Wars, characters only get fat by being lazy and eating an unnatural amount of food. That's a commonly held belief about plus-size people in the real world too, and the franchise repeatedly doubling down on it is deeply problematic. Even Boss Nass, the leader of the Gungan High Council introduced in The Phantom Menace, is larger than the other members of his species, playing into the fat cat trope that the franchise loves. Still, he's not an out-and-out bad guy. He's not a bad guy at all. Once he was convinced what Padme was saying was true, he and the rest of the Gungans teamed up to fight the bad guys, the invading robot army, and he was there at Padme's funeral to show a sign of respect for a fallen friend. So, what's your article saying right here? What's the point of this? Dexter Jettster, Obi-Wan Kenobi's friend on the planet Coruscant, is another prequel trilogy character who is fat, but not a villain. However, Jettster's appearance, with a heavily stained too-short shirt and visible belly, embodies unfortunate tropes about fat people being slovenly. He's a fry cook. He's greasy and dirty, and you know what? When you Google fry cooks, you get the same trope. I wonder where George Lucas got that from. Hollywood, of course, doesn't care. Films like The Whale and The Batman were just released in 2022 and included actors wearing fat suits. The Whale even won an Academy Award for Best Makeup and Hairstyling for its fat suit. Yeah, and Brendan Fraser also won for Best Actor. In entertainment, it's about making the best thing possible. These things are expensive. That's why they hire a guy like Colin Farrell to play the Penguin or Brendan Fraser to play the character in The Whale. I wonder why they wanted to go that direction. Maybe a larger actor just wasn't good enough to act. Has nothing to do with their appearance, clearly. Such on-screen portrayals affect how people view the world. Let's take a quick second and look at John Wick 4. That was Scott Adkins in a fat suit. Well, A normal guy that size isn't going to be able to move and do what you need to do in the film, so to tell the story, you use a guy in a fat suit. A fat suit's just another form of makeup. Do you belittle a movie for having makeup? Oh my god, Gamora was green in the new Guardians of the Galaxy. Why didn't they just hire a green actress? Same with Nebula. Why didn't they get a bald blue woman? Because normally when a human has blue skin, they're dead. Just like this writer's argument. Such on-screen portrayals affect how people view the world as a place where certain sizes shouldn't exist or can only exist if they entail suffering. The long-standing hate and derision of larger people in entertainment has made society a much worse place for plus-sized individuals in the real world. This is evident behind the scenes in Hollywood as well, including the production of Star Wars. As Leia, Carrie Fisher had to pose perfectly straight while filming the infamous gold bikini scenes because no creases were allowed, and when she was asked to reprise a role in The Force Awakens, the studio sent a personal trainer to weigh her and get rid of unhealthy food. Luke Skywalker actor Mark Hamill apparently faced similar issues and had to hit the gym. Would these actors be unable to portray their beloved characters with a little extra fat on their bodies? Well, again, you clearly don't understand how movies are made. Insurance purposes. You have to be able to pass a test to get insured to make a film. Carrie Fisher wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle, and sadly we lost her. So again, this article falls in on itself. You know what, I'm just gonna stop there. The rest of the article wants to go on and praise Lizzo for being Lizzo, and look, I don't know any of her music, but I'm tired of seeing her everywhere. I get it. Articles like this make it seem like society has solved all of its problems, to the point where we're now trying to fix body image issues in Star Wars. It's not like the country is falling apart or the world is on the brink of war. Nah, everything's hunky-dory, so let's fix this problem first. I apologize in advance for the strong language, but dang it, this was tough to read. Articles like these serve one purpose: to be ridiculed by rational people. This article falls apart because of bias. The article is heavily biased in its language and tone, making it clear that the author has a specific agenda. The author describes the portrayal of fat characters as a problematic punchline, implying that Star Wars is intentionally mocking overweight individuals. However, the article fails to consider the possibility that the show's creators may have been attempting to provide a more diverse representation of body types. The thing these type of people are always arguing for. All this does is add credibility to the belief that feeding this mob leads nowhere. Speaking of feeding, the writer keeps feeding their argument with the equivalent of intellectual junk food. The article consistently uses emotive language such as fat phobia, shaming, and stigmatization, which are all terms that suggest a negative view of overweight individuals. Simply put, the writer is doing the thing she's fighting against. If Star Wars treated Lizzo like Jabba the Hutt, or Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, then there would be a conversation to be had. But no, not here. This article suggests that the portrayal of fat characters in Star Wars is a reflection of a wider societal issue of fat phobia and discrimination against overweight individuals. No, it's Star Wars. However, the article fails to acknowledge the portrayal of any character is a product of multiple factors, including the writer's goals, the context of the scene, the practicalities of creating a TV show. We talked about it before. All this does is show the ignorance of the writer. George Lucas borrowed a lot of Star Wars from history and classic literature. He created a world that has elements based on the tropes of yesteryear. Historically, fat has been seen as a sign of great wealth. Past civilizations saw excessive body fat as a symbol of wealth and prosperity as the general population struggled with food shortages and famine. Nowadays, it's recognized that obesity is associated with comorbidities such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. That last part came from the National Library of Medicine, not the feelings of some writer with an agenda.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science!
Since Lucas was a student of culture, he took from all the elements of history. A time when fat meant wealth. How do you show more wealth? Make them bigger. It doesn't go any deeper than that. It's a trope. It's an older trope, but it still checks out. Articles like these come off as the writer trying to protect their insecurities. That, added with the bias of this article, leaves us with something so stupid only a mother could love. The author's argument ignores the fact that overweight people can in fact be lazy, gluttonous, and incompetent, just like people of any other weight. While it's true that negative stereotypes about fat people exist, it's not honest to suggest that the portrayal of an overweight character reinforces these stereotypes. If anything, the show's portrayal of characters of all sizes and shapes reinforces the idea that people should not be judged based on their appearance alone. People who don't know these properties shouldn't write about them. I've never seen E.T., but I'm going to write an article about Steven Spielberg's latent racism because Elliot and the gang are white. I'll go into something about the conversation about immigration too, since E.T. is brown and the kids have to smuggle him across the police border to get home. Anyone can make this shit up. They just can't do it with style. So folks, what do you think of this article? 3 questions for today. Who's your favorite fat Star Wars character? Actually, there's no questions for this. This is stupid. Who really cares? Is this what we should be focused on in society? I don't know. Tell me down in the comments below. Actually, we will have 3 questions for today. 1, what was your initial reaction to this article? 2, how do you feel about Lizzo and Jack Black in Star Wars? And 3, are you going to watch The Mandalorian anymore? Clearly, The Mandalorian pissed off a lot of fans, but that's okay. Nobody cares about that stuff. They just care about the body positivity of the show. So folks, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll be back next time with more because this one took a lot out of me to read. Holy shit, was this dumb. So folks, I'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here and, well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.